here. There's nothing more you can do.
I'm not leaving without you, Master.
There are too many of them. What are we going to do?
Well, that took a turn. Noff Clipper, hi friends, Darth Momo here, and I am here to discuss the third episode in the Skywalker saga of Star Wars. Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So, is it the best prequel? Yes. By default. Is it good? Well, that's a debatable subject. See, the film is like its predecessor, not both predecessors, just its previous just Attack of the Clones. It is unevenly paced. And there was today several times around the second act of the film where I was like, so, yeah, it's unevenly paced. However, is it more forgivable than Attack of the Clones? Yes. Because about 2/3 of the film is action, and some meaningful action, and some action that is important, so yes, it's more forgivable than Attack of the Clones. Do I like it more than Attack of the Clones? Yeah. Can I sit down and enjoy it? Most days. Let's get to the acting. Hayden Christensen. Slight improvement from Attack of the Clones. Still no chemistry between him and Natalie Portman. But the acting there came just a tad better. When he portrays Anakin Skywalker in non-love scenes, it's tolerable. And his performance as Darth Vader, meaning once he turns to the dark side in the film, decent. Could have been better, but it wasn't bad. I think he did okay as Darth Vader. And that's really all I've got to say about him, and I hope if they bring him back in Last Jedi that they do some work with him. Ewan McGregor. Great. His best performance in the Star Wars universe. Perfect. Natalie Portman. I mean, it felt a little some overacting there. Because, I mean, she wasn't really given much to deal with either. She was just kind of barefoot and pregnant throughout the entire film. Mixed feelings on that. Ian McDiarmid is Palpatine. A bit of overacting there, but it was enjoyable and it was good because he's the Emperor and he's the only one who can do it. He's the best at it. Sam Witwer's a contender, the only contender who comes close. Ian Abercrombie on Clone Wars does good as Palpatine and Sidious, but those are the only two contenders. Ian McDiarmid takes it by far, definitely, and his performance is always enjoyable. The first act of the film went okay, but like the Clone Wars film before it, this could have been split into two different storylines. I mean, in a way, it definitely does feel like live-action Clone Wars, this film, and it feels like, the first act of the film, all the Coruscant stuff on the Battle of Coruscant stuff, that could have been one episode, and the rest was everything else put together. Honestly, the film could have started after the Battle of Coruscant, and that would have been for the most part okay. Of course, it would have had a little revising needed with Count Dooku. Speaking of Count Dooku, I literally get to the credits of the film, and when it pops up with, starring Samuel L. Jackson and Christopher Lee, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot they were in this film. Mostly because so much happens that I forget about Samuel L. Jackson. That's more forgivable, but Christopher Lee, he had 5 minutes of the film. Not even, actually. And I personally think it was a waste of a character. Now, because we had the Clone Wars, Obi-Wan or Grievous and Dooku are very fleshed out villains, but because if you just take the films alone, it definitely would have been better if they just had one solid adversary. In fact, it could have been either a great major character victory for either Obi-Wan or a step down the dark side for Anakin, depending on how you look at things. But all in all, with how we have the Star Wars saga today, it worked out okay. Second part of the film, it was boring, unevenly paced, and actually the scene where Padme almost gives her separatist-like notion with Anakin, that should have been left out of the film. Now, that was in there because there was deleted scenes where Padme was seen discussing with a few other senators, including Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, about the loss of democracy and possible need for a rebellion. So when she makes those comments with those scenes in mind, it works. But because those two scenes got cut, this one should have been cut as well. Because that was the only thing really in there about the plot. Nothing else really was connected to the overall film. And it could have helped with flow. And then we get to the third act. Definitely good. Enjoyable. With Anakin's fall, when you take into consideration the Clone Wars and how it shows him constantly kind of switching back between the dark side of the Force and the light side, but as time goes on, getting more into the dark side, it makes sense. And his fall does work. But with just the film, with the context of the films alone, not necessarily. It doesn't really, because he's set up as this big hero, and then he kind of makes his quick swap. So there's not too much to say. The music was great. CGI was okay. Connects well to the original trilogy. Overall, I'd give this film on my ranking number 6. Simply, because every other film is better, or other film above it is better. That's really all I have to say about this film. It is what it is. It tied off the prequels on a nice knot. Tied them off in a knot. With these 3 films, do they work together? Does it work with the overall saga? Does it work when you put in the Clone Wars to it? Yeah. So, really, I have mixed thoughts about the whole prequel trilogy. It definitely works better with the Clone Wars, but without it, very mixed feelings. With all that, thank you guys for joining in. Darth Momo out. We have 7 days left, so I'm bringing it on. I'm ready for The Last Jedi. May the Force be with you, always. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. If you liked the video, comment down below and hit that like button. Oh, and check out some of my other videos. I'm sure you'll find them delight.